Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsports sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
Welcome to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by AMSOIL. Today we have monster truck driver and owner of High Octane Coffee, Joe Sylvester. He is back. This is Joe Sylvester 3.0. So last time he was with us, it was a live show, and this time he's back, and we got into some really good topics. We could have talked forever, but hey, there's going to be more coming from Mr. Sylvester, so stay tuned for future shows. Now, I need to tell you a few things before we get into the interview. One is AMSOIL. So both Joe and I have been working with AMSOIL for a while now, and you see them all over the place. AMSOIL Championship Snowcross Series. You see the products all over. You know, they are committed to making sure that you have the best oil available. They test it, and they're geeky like me. They're engineers. You know, they're chemists. Like, they really want to make sure you got the right stuff. So go check out amsoil.com/rider and let me know if you ever have questions about their products. And I would love to get your feedback. Head over to iTunes, leave a rating and review. And I don't want you to miss upcoming shows, so go ahead and click subscribe regardless of whatever podcast player you use. Now, I need to take a minute here and just recognize the companies that help make this show possible. TopThePodium.com, they're experts in motorsports sponsorship. Bold Racing, they're a family race team, and GSP, XTV Axle Specialist. Crash Act Industries, they provide human protection and extreme racing products. And in SolderWeld, they produce game-changing metal bonding technology. We have a new ad out for SolderWeld as well that George Hamill put together. So that is in the show, and it is a good one. George has been on the show a couple of times now. You know, super smart racer, super genuine individual. So he's been using SolderWeld for a while. So check that out. It's just before we get into Heat 2. I also want to shout out some of our other partners, including MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, GSP XTV, and High Octane Coffee. Without further ado, let's hop in. Today we've got a guest that's back for the third time since Joe Sylvester. He is the owner of High Octane Coffee, which is also one of our newest partners. And you're also a big-time monster truck driver. That is big air, big records, all that. And you've driven everything else. You've raced everything else. Like, there's pretty much no end. But I want you to fill in the gaps from that intro and tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I have raced just about everything that there is with wheels at this point. I started riding motocross when I was young and went into shifter kart racing and ATV racing, UTV racing, and then shortly followed by getting into monster trucks when I was in my early 20s. And I always liked to drive anything that I could get my hands on. I've done road racing in cars. I raced short course off-road and pro light in the Torque series. I've raced dirt late models, 410 wing and non-wing sprint cars. I love sprint car racing. And what else have I done? I've done some testing in some different vehicles too. Circle track, asphalt truck racing. Done quite a bit of stuff. I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I love getting behind the wheel of anything that has a little bit of horsepower and goes fast.
Yeah, exactly. And for people listening right now, if this is the first time you've heard Joe, I mean, you've been on a couple times before this. You were on episode 68. And that's where we went into your whole background. We probably spent a good 20, 30 minutes getting your background on that one. So you can go back and listen to that show. And then we also did a live show, Facebook live show, which is episode 89. So you can get the audio version, episode 89. So either one of those, you can get a good breakdown of the things that you've done. Beyond that, though, like, there's been a lot of things you've been up to lately. Let's spend some time talking about that, because it actually, when this show comes out, it's going to be episode 146. So it's still been a while since we've talked and caught up. So let's hear, like, what have you been doing with the monster trucks again? And tell us about what's going on with High Octane Coffee.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I spent my entire 20s on the road with monster trucks. And in 2013, after my second world record jump, and I also won the Young Gun Shootout in Las Vegas at the Monster Jam World Finals, I kind of felt like I needed a change of pace. I was ready to pursue more of a full-time racing career outside of monster trucks, and I was when I got into short course off-road, and then shortly followed by dirt track racing after that, and late models and then sprint cars. So it's been a few years that I've kind of been somewhat out of the saddle in monster trucks. I've kind of floated in and out here and there, driving for other teams. Drove for Monster Jam and some of their trucks, for a couple of years. And as of most recently, this year, I drove the first quarter of the year in Monster Jam in Mike Vodder's Black Stallion truck. Kind of a last-minute deal that came together. He called me up and asked me if I wanted to drive some of the shows for him, and of course, I said absolutely. And it was great to be back in that realm. It was great to be back in the stadiums and see all the fans and kind of my extended family out on the road of drivers and crew and track officials and tech officials and things like that. So it was really cool, something that I spent such a large majority of my life doing, and but really before that deal even came about, I had made the decision that I wanted to build a monster truck again. Mm-hmm. I've been out of it for a few years. And we released the news, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
That we're going to put a monster truck again, and it's going to be called High Octane after my High Octane coffee company. Mm-hmm. And after this it got really great response. I'm really thankful for all the fans over the years that have supported me, not only in monster trucks, but continue to support me in everything else that I've ever raced. I'm really extremely grateful for that. And I've always been consider myself a showman, and it's always, whatever it is that I'm driving or racing, I'm out there to put on a show for people and leave them with something that they could talk about on their way home. And it's going to encourage them to come back next week or next month or next year and buy a ticket again because they want to come see a show, no matter what it is that I'm driving. And I'm really thankful for all the fans that have supported me over the years doing that. And I feel like I still have a lot to contribute to the sport. And it's something that I put a lot thought into. Racing sprint cars was great. I met a lot of great people, had a lot of fun, but my heart still really truly lies with monster trucks and the entertainment that is there and the things that you can do with a truck, and feel like I still have a lot to give to that sport. And I really want to try to inspire people to go out and literally build their dreams with their hands. That's why we're building our own truck again, right here at my shop in Ohio. We've just got the ball rolling on it, and I started getting some of the parts together and everything. And we're trying to have it completed before the end of this year. So
nice. Really
exciting news, and really, really stoked on the awesome response that we've gotten so far about me kind of getting back in the game again.
Yeah, the Monster Jam, Monster Truck world is pretty special. I didn't go to any of them when I was younger. I mean, I used to watch it on TV, and then growing up, I was like, now that I got kids, I was like, man, I gotta get these kids out to a couple of these shows. And we've been to a few now. We just went to one a couple weeks ago at Ford Field in Detroit. They got a pretty good setup there, and it was just, man, so much fun. And there's so many people, and you get to go meet all the drivers for an hour and a half. I think we had to walk around and walk the field and talk to the drivers, and it's just such a unique experience.
Yeah, it's very interactive, and it gives the fans, it allows us to interact with the fans a lot more than I think most sports do, most motorsports. Yeah, I mean, that's in all motorsports that I've been in, monster trucks really get the entertainment value of it. We're there to put on for people, so that's, and really when it comes to marketing, I guess that, that's what we're here to talk about. When I thought about how I can market my brand and how I could continue to promote my sponsors to the best of my ability, because a lot of my sponsors have stuck with me over all the years of monster trucks, off-road, dirt track racing. I've had a lot of the same sponsors. And I'm always thinking, how can I really provide the most ROI for them and build my brand the best at the same time? And I kept going back to monster trucks and the value that I can present with monster trucks and the fan base that I've developed, and the shows and the social media reach, all that kind of stuff. So for High Octane Coffee Company, and the image that I want it to have to be the automotive enthusiast coffee company, what better thing could I do personally than to go on and do outrageous stuff in a monster truck called High Octane? There ain't nobody else in the world with a coffee company doing stuff like that. And I've got a lot of ideas in the works and a lot of things that I'm planning on doing over the next couple of years to really kind of up the game with my marketing for High Octane coffee.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about the way Monster Jam or Monster Truck racing is set up. You know, it's typically in a stadium, and you have people contained in that area, and there's a lot of times 1 or 2 trucks out on the field, which takes a lot of attention. And there's usually a focus that says, okay, here's the driver, here's the truck they're riding. They usually refer to things by the truck. You know, the announcer, whoever's calling the show, is going to say, yeah, the High Octane is up here. You know, High Octane's taking this big jump, blah, blah, blah. You can even have other drivers, right? And it's still that truck. And there's not, I don't know, there's not many other sports that are like that. I mean, drag racing, right? You get 2 cars on a field at the same time with everybody's attention focused on those.
The only problem there is if you don't make through qualifying, you don't make the show.
Right.
You know, when all the fans are there and
right.
If you get put on the trailer early, you miss out on a lot of attention. You don't. That's not the case with monster trucks, and and you're not out there going 200 miles an hour competing against 30 some other cars.
Right.
You're the center of the attention. You're the star. So
yep.
That's where it really generates a lot of impressions.
Yeah, definitely. And you always get a certain amount of time to go do what you need to do, as long as the vehicle's running, right? But even if it's not, sometimes you can still go and play around a little bit. Maybe you can't compete and win at the same level, but you can still show up and be noticed. So, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to really grow the brand, the High Octane Coffee. I want it to be, if you have a custom vehicle in the garage, we're your coffee company. Because so many people drink coffee. It's such a part of people's daily routine in America. And I don't feel that there is a brand out there that associates with guys like us, with grease under our fingernails, a hot rod out in the garage, working late at night, bouncing sparks off the window panes, turning wrenches with your buddies late at night in the shop, and then getting up early in the morning to go to work. There's no coffee company that really speaks to that crowd or that lives that lifestyle legitimately, except for High Octane. So that is where I'm really trying to grow the brand, or to the people that speak my language.
Definitely. And I'm glad that we're able to spend some time. Like, this is your 3rd time on the show, and there's going to be a lot more of you. I've kind of gave the audience some heads up over the past few weeks, like, hey, you're going to see more of this guy hanging around on the show.
Exciting.
And a lot of it's all because we believe in the same things, right? We want to make sure we can provide the best experience for the people out there in motorsports, and sometimes it's with coffee, sometimes it's with sponsorship advice, but we're all doing the same thing.
Right, exactly. And I feel over the years I've really developed my craft, and of course it's always evolving, just like anything, of sponsor attraction and really providing a return for your sponsors. I've learned so much about it. I've literally been working with sponsors since I was about 15 years old. From when I was racing bicycles, I had some of my very first sponsors back then. And, growing up racing and, not having family funding, so to speak, there was nobody cutting me a check to go race, or go drive monster trucks. I had to find that money somehow, so it came from my marketing partners. So I learned, not only how to get them, but to also, more importantly, how to retain them, how to keep them happy, and keep them, believing in me. They have to believe in you, and you have to be giving them a return. It's business, and I feel like I have so much, I don't want to say knowledge, but it may be at least opinions that I could share with other racers on how to go about your sponsorship game, because I'm really seeing it now more than ever. Now that I've got a company that I'm really branding and marketing heavily myself, I'm getting hit up constantly with sponsorship proposals. Well, I don't even want to say proposals, aren't even worthy of being called a proposal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting hit up left and right, people asking me to sponsor them, quote unquote, sponsor them. And I don't think they really even know themselves what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to sit here and complain about it, or, because people are just uneducated about it. They don't understand it. Because no one has sat down and explained to them how it works, and what you need to provide a sponsor with in order for it to be right, for it to work, and for you to earn that respect from the sponsors, and for you to earn that paycheck or that product or that discount. So I feel like I've got a lot of things that I've experienced over the years that I can share with people that can help people better understand what they need to do.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. That's what the show is about. And that's actually exactly what Heat 2 is about. So what we're going to do right now is take a break. We're going to thank the sponsors for this podcast, and then we'll come back and hop into Heat 2.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk about SolderWeld's new off-road repair kit. If you're a racer of any type or an off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product that bonds metal on the spot. SolderWeld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped to a roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or brake line? We have seen a top-tier desert race team at the 2019 Min 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just minutes. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. SolderWeld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredibly high tensile strength, leaving you a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today, and your friends will thank you.
2 questions I get continuously about this show and about sponsorship is, do I need my own website and do I need a resume? The answer is, in my opinion, yes to both, and that's why we partner with TopThePodium.com. Now, if you want to see an example of what a professional website and what a professional resume looks like, you got to check out TopThePodium.com. They did my website. The Sponsored Rider Club podcast website is sponsoredriderclubpodcast.com. That was created by Jeff Vanistall of TopThePodium.com. I think it's awesome. I get a lot of good feedback about it. And there's a number of other websites out there that Jeff has produced that are just phenomenal. So I think it's important in this world of social media where you have control of your content. That's what a website does. It gives you full control. We don't know what Facebook's going to do sometimes. We don't know what Instagram's going to do. We don't know what Twitter's going to do. So if we don't have that central location to direct people and house our content, there is some risk that we incur. So I strongly recommend getting a website, talking to TopThePodium.com. And then the resume, again, is massive. And if you want to stand out, get it done professionally. And honestly, it is one of the best ways to step up your game and present yourself in the best way possible. Safety is our overriding priority. I hear it all the time, but I have to ask myself, is it though? Is that the first thing we think of? Is that the first thing you think of? Over the past couple of years, we've seen the performance of production UTVs increase, somewhere around 350%. That means these machines give us a lot more opportunity to have fun and win races, but it also, unfortunately, gives us new opportunities to crash. And that's why we have partnered with Crash Addict Industries. The owner, Travis Pointer, became very accustomed to crashing early in his career. He saw it as inevitable, and he set out to make the process safer. With a passion for racing, welding, and engineering, Crash Addict Industries now produces full cage and other protection systems intentionally designed to protect you during an accident on the track. They also offer a line of human protection products through their vendors. Do this for me at this point. If you're racing with a stock cage right now, please go check out CrashAddict.com and at least just see what they have to offer. Even if you choose to go with a different company, please make safety your overriding priority. Family race team. Those are the first words that come to mind when I think of bold racing. And the next one is actually axles. Bold Racing is a premier distributor of GSP XTV axles, and if that wasn't cool enough, they just came out with an entirely new axle called the Revolution axle. It is a hollow tube axle. It's really cool. If you head over to their website, gspxtv.com, or you can find out more at boldracingltd.com, you can find out how this new axle technology works. So they are saying to view this as a fuse for your drivetrain. So the hollow tube CV axle twist technology actually increases the strength and reliability of the axle, and it also reduces stress on a drivetrain. Plus, honestly, it's super cool looking, and if people know me, they know that I really like cool looking stuff. So they come in this really cool gold color. Check it out. It's absolutely revolutionary. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. We're in Heat 2. It is time to get into the meat of the podcast. And right before we started this show, Joe and I talked about some of the things that, like, I don't know, where do we want to take the direction of this show today? What do we want to talk about? And there's two specific topics that you were pretty passionate about, we're pretty passionate about, and we're going to spend, a little bit of time talking about those. The first is how to find sponsors that are right for you, and then the next piece is the more obvious piece here. How do you then approach those sponsors? So let's kick things off here, Joe. What do you want to talk about with regards to finding sponsors that are right for you?
And that is, and people need to kind of stop for a second and think about that. The sponsors that are right for you. I never approach any company that I don't feel fits with my brand or my image or the demographic in the sport or the social media following that I have. I'm not going to approach a flower shop, for instance, right, and ask them to sponsor me just because I think they've got a bunch of money. How am I going to market them? My followers aren't buying flowers left and right. And, I don't know anything about it, and I've probably never bought anything. And if I've never bought anything from them before, I'm not experienced with their product. I'm not going to go ask them for money for marketing, so you have to think about that. Just because you think a company may have the money to sponsor doesn't mean that they're the right fit. You have to think of what are companies that align with your brand, what you're going to enjoy marketing every day, and that is going to be legit. That you're not lying about your belief in their product. You have to believe in a company's product before you can sell it to people. Before you can actually market it yourself, you need to be familiar with it and using it. So you have to really think about companies that fit with your own brand and your own image and what it is that you're racing. Since this is a racing podcast, that's what we'll talk about is racing. And obviously your social media goes right along hand in hand with it. That's another tool, just like your race car is, if not even more important than your race car itself, is your social media platforms. So you have to think about what companies align with you. And then you have to figure out a strategic approach to going after these companies once you kind of figure out, who it is that's going to work with you. But there's also a fine line between approaching companies and attracting companies. Mm-hmm. Obviously, attracting companies is a much, much better way to do it. But of course, everybody wants the shortcut. Everybody wants the fast lane. Everybody wants the phone number that they're going to call and magically somebody's going to write them a check. The other option of sponsor attraction is a longer road. It takes more time. But when a company comes to you and says, we want to work with you, then the ball's kind of in your court. Then you've got some leverage. You don't have to sell yourself at that point. They have already been watching you. They already understand what you're doing and believe that what you have is a good fit for their brand. So if you keep promoting yourself to the best of your ability, you promote whatever sponsors you currently have to the best of your ability, and you really build your own brand to be strong. You have a certain image, a certain personality. You want to make sure that is captured in your racing interviews, your social media, because what that's going to do is attract companies that want to partner with you. For instance, for me with High Octane, if I'm looking for people that I want to sponsor, I'm not going to go to somebody who has never posted anything about drinking coffee before,
Mm-hmm.
or even somebody that has never even used my product before. If they've bought my product before, they've now got a leg up on the competition. If they're a coffee drinker and I feel that their brand is a good fit for my brand, I'm going to keep watching them. I'm going to watch them closer. I'm going to interact with them, and then I'll approach them and say, okay, I would like you to be an ambassador for my product. And that's the way companies work. Social media is very, very powerful these days, and a lot of these companies have people on their staff that are doing things like that are looking for influencers and racers. And really, and as a racer, that's what you are. You're an influencer. Whether it's at the racetrack, on TV, or on Instagram or Facebook, you are influencing people to support your brand and the brands that support you.
Yeah, there was like a light bulb that went off in my head when I was doing an interview with Evan Schendel. This is a little while back now, but maybe 30 to 40 episodes back. And he was telling me how much time he spends and his team spends paying attention to other people, whether it's riders or racers, like on social media or at a track. They will follow people and for years sometimes, right? They pay attention. You don't know it. You don't know what's happening. And then they'll reach out one day and say, hey, look, we've been following you for a long time. Things in our program are set up to a point where we feel like you would be a great addition to the team. You're like, what? Where did this come from? But for you, it's maybe just happened quickly. If you're the one, the rider or the racer getting this phone call, but for them, like, no, they've been following this for a long time and they feel like you represent their brand. And I guess I didn't imagine that people were really just out there looking for that right person. I always thought that it was the other way around, right? The person is always looking for the company, but that's not always the case.
You're right, exactly. But when it does come down to you actually approaching companies, so I'm not saying you should never do that.
Right.
There's a way, there's a method to do that. And don't message somebody on Instagram and say, hey, you want to get your name on my car?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't even want to respond to things like that, because it's like you don't know anything about marketing. You don't know anything about my business. You don't even follow my Instagram page for my business. Right. How do you know the first thing about marketing my business? Especially, marketing, it accounts for such a small percentage of a company's budget. You got to figure they've got, so much money that they make in profits, and a very small percentage of that is dedicated to marketing. Mm-hmm. And an even smaller fraction of a percentage of that is dedicated to things like motorsports marketing, if they even have a budget
right.
a lot
mm-hmm.
to motorsports marketing. They may not have ever even given it a thought before. So you need to do a little research on the company first and foremost. You need to see what they're currently doing for marketing. You need to educate yourself on their company, their products, possibly buy their products if it's something that you can use in your daily life, and try it, and the better way to do it is to try to get their attention. Don't just knock on their door like a vacuum cleaner salesman
mm-hmm.
and say, hey, would you like to give me some money to put a sticker on my race car? That door's going to get slammed right back in your face
right.
every single time. Because I've never seen anybody say, yes, I want to spend a bunch of money with you and you could put a sticker on your race car
right.
so I could go fund your hobby. People, they don't understand.
Right.
Racing is not a charity. It is not a charity. It is your choice to go out there and race, and it takes money to do that. So what you need to do is understand that, you do have some value. You do have value as a racer, as a performer to companies, but you have to figure out which companies you are the most value to. You have to understand how to approach them, and messaging them on social media is not the way. There's other ways to do that. Obviously, if you have somebody's email, you can send them an email. But if you go to events that they're at and possibly meet them. Show your face around, some of the trade shows or something like that they're at. Introduce yourself. And you never want to be the salesman. You never want to be trying to push yourself so hard on people that they feel like, they're trying to get sold something that they don't want to buy. Nobody likes to be sold something that they don't want to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And marketing people at these companies, they have to deal with that every single day. So you have to do something that makes you stand out from everybody else, that shows that you understand what it is that they're trying to do. So never go after a company if you don't already have somewhat of an idea in your head of how you're going to market them. Before I approach a company, I've already researched them. I've already looked at their social media. I've seen who they currently sponsor. I've seen what kind of ads they run, what kind of videos they do, what kind of just general content they produce. And I get an idea in my head saying, I've got so many ideas of how I can work with this company. I know that, what their product is. I understand it. And I know that I can do this for them. So then you figure out kind of a couth way to approach them. I don't ever just send them a DM on Instagram and say, hey, you want to put a sticker on my truck? That does not work. That's not the way to do it. If you want to tag them in some posts or something like that to try to get some attention, especially if you're using their product, you definitely want to tag them, or you send them a message, showing them a picture of you using their product, and they're going to start watching you a little bit closer, and then you start to develop that relationship a little bit. You don't just cold call them or cold DM them and say, hey, you want to send me some money? That's not the right way to do it. And I say that, I can't say it enough because I get hit up so many times like that. And I know that if I'm getting it, all these other companies are getting that too. And, and some of these companies, they're so big, the social media person isn't the one that's making any marketing decisions. They may not even see your message.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to figure out, not only how you're going to market that company before you approach them, but then you need to figure out a good, kind of a smooth way to open that door and introduce yourself. And it's not going to be easy, but I can assure you the quickest way to get the door slammed in your face is some cheesy line saying, it's like a pickup line in a bar with a girl.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when does that ever work? It doesn't.
No, it's just something for other people to make fun of later.
Right.
It's so interesting when I first started Impact Fuel is really the company that runs this podcast. But when I first started that, I got all these crazy things, and I've talked about it in the show before, but people would reach out, hey, I would love for you to be my fuel sponsor. I'm like, I don't even sell fuel. That's just, it's a play on words.
They didn't even look at your company enough to know.
You didn't even know. But now
Exactly.
with this podcast, people message me. They're like, how do I get sponsored? Or not how do I get sponsored, because that's actually what we're doing. They're like, yeah, would you want to sponsor me? I'm like, do I want to sponsor you? Wait, I will help. Like, that's what I'm here for, is to help you. But I don't know if you really get the gist of this. Like, did you just, I don't know. I'm not sure what you did, but I get that all the time. I get all these weird messages. It's just like it's all on DM or something like that. It's like 3 words, sponsor me now, or like these. It's like the fastest way for them to say the words. It's crazy.
Right. Exactly. And that's, and that's what we're here for. They just need to be kind of listening to what we're saying.
Yes.
And understand that it's not a quick and easy process.
Right.
That this is business. This is not, like I said, racing is not a charity. Your race car is not benefiting anyone other than you. So you have to figure out how you can use that to put money back in these companies' bank accounts, how you can sell these products, how can you sell a company's product, how can you make them sell more product because of what you're doing. And I can assure you that, if you're just slapping a sticker on a race car, that's not selling anybody any more product.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a full dynamic marketing plan when you do this. Once you finally do get their attention, that's when you say, okay, let's get on a phone call. Let's schedule an appointment. I would like to get on a phone call with you to find out more about your marketing objectives, period.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to say.
Yep.
Once you get their attention, you need to listen very, very carefully. And when they will actually get on that phone call with you, they're going to be thinking, this guy actually wants to know more about our company and more about our marketing strategies. So that speaks volumes to these people. If somebody's asking me, how can I help you sell more coffee? How are you marketing High Octane for the next year or two? And I want to hear what your plan is. And then I'm going to see how that fits into my plan. And you know what? It may not always necessarily align with what you're doing. Like for instance, if I'm trying to grow High Octane to the diesel truck market, and somebody approaches me that's involved in, say, drifting, for instance, and they may see that I'm trying to promote to the diesel truck crowd, and that's not the crowd that they're into at all. It's not going to work. It's not going to fit. That doesn't fit with my marketing plan. So you don't want to waste your time or their time by trying to approach companies like that. And sometimes you can kind of figure that out just by looking at their social media and seeing the events that they're popping up at, see the people that they're already sponsoring or the people they're promoting on their social media, and say, it seems like they're kind of creeping into my market a little bit here. Maybe I can help them, because that's what this is. Sponsorships are the same as a company buying a TV ad, a radio ad, or a billboard. They need to see a return on that. Very few companies, and the companies that do are very large, that rely on branding, where they don't actually have to. I mean, branding is basically recognition. They want their name to be prominent, and they're not so concerned with seeing a direct return on their marketing dollar. Where me, say like with High Octane Coffee, which is a very small business. We're a small coffee shop in Youngstown, Ohio, and I do online sales too. I can't spend money on branding just yet. I have to see a direct return on my marketing. Otherwise, I'm going to go out of business. If I give you $100 sponsorship, you need to sell me $200 worth of coffee. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it didn't work. It did not work. So if you want to obtain and retain these sponsors, you need to understand how to do that. You need to say, okay, well, what am I going to do to sell him more coffee? How am I going to promote his product to my followers? And how am I going to convince my fans and my followers to go and buy his product? So that's all things that you need to think about, even before you even approach a company.
Yeah, definitely. And, going back to a couple of your comments before, using the direct message on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, one thing I would say is, if you're doing that, my recommendation would be use that as a conversation starter, like you said, to get attention. And then maybe ask the question, hey, I would love to talk more about, like you said, the marketing strategy for next year, or, is there somebody within your company that I can talk to? If it's a bigger company, yeah, that's probably the only thing that person does is social media. So they're going to have to know of the right person to send you to. If you've left a good impression, maybe they know that person. Maybe they'll connect you. If it's a smaller company, it's probably you might have a little bit easier access that way. But if you're doing those, I don't make the pitch through that DM. Like, definitely don't do it that way. Try to find out who the right person is. Get the conversation started first. Don't start the conversation with sponsorship. Let's talk more about, I would love to build a relationship, or maybe I love your brand. I would love to just talk more about your brand. So I just really recommend stretching that conversation out a little bit more, and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could kind of give you a perfect scenario of and I've used this, and it's not like it's not a fake tactic. This is a legit tactic as far as when you kind of hone in on a company that you feel that you're going to be able to help. You're going to be able to add value to their marketing program. Okay. Say I want to get a sponsorship from High Octane. I'll use that as an example. Okay. I'm a racer, so what am I going to do? First thing I'm going to do is I'm not only just follow their social media pages so I could keep up on what they're doing. I'm going to buy their product. It's not an expensive product. It's not a life-altering decision. You're not buying a car.
Mm-hmm.
You're buying a few dollar item online. You get it, you try it. If you enjoy it, there's step one. You know that it's something that you're going to use and you fully believe in it, so it's going to make it easier for you to sell. Number two, that's when you can start taking some pictures, telling people you're using it, and then you send those pictures directly to High Octane. You tag them, you send them in DM saying, "Hey, I love your product, this is what I do. It's helped me fuel the late nights out in my garage, getting my race car prep for the weekend." Okay, that's awesome. We're going to share that on our page too.
Right.
So right then and there, you just got some exposure out of it, and you now have our attention. So maybe then the next step, after you do this for a little while, maybe you kind of appear at one of our car shows, or hey, the High Octane guys are going to be at Lone Star Throwdown, or they're going to be at this big truck show. I don't have anything going on that weekend. I'll go check them out. I'll go meet them face to face. You go and you say, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. I race this. I've been drinking your coffee. I love it. It's great. I just want to tell you guys, like your brand and everything." Okay, that's great. Awesome. You have our attention. So now when you come to me and say, "Hey, this is what I'm racing. I'm hitting up tracks every weekend. This is what I'm doing. I'd love to be able to help you guys promote your brand. Would you like to speak with me a little bit more about your marketing objectives and see if it's a good fit for what I'm doing?" Boom, there it is. There's your formula.
Right.
It's not magic. It's simple business. It's simple business and common sense and courtesy too.
Right.
And that can work for any company, all the way up to even if it's a big corporate company. That same tactic is still going to work, because they're eventually going to catch on to you. They're eventually going to see your post. They're going to see that you're using their product. So that's one of the first things I look for if somebody hits me up for sponsorship. Being a small company, you're going to hit me up for sponsorship. You better already be buying my stuff.
Right.
You better already be using. Otherwise, I don't even know if you're going to like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you're drinking my coffee, you're buying it, you'll obviously like it. So you're going to tell your friends about it. You're going to tell your fans about it. But if you don't know anything about it, it's going to be very hard for you to sell it.
Yeah, 100%. And I was thinking a little bit more about the question too, about how to find the sponsors that are right for you. And I guess I would ask anybody if they're trying to make this decision for themselves, if they are planning on reaching out to somebody, or if they're planning on building a strategy around this. Like, let's say, you're a racer and you just absolutely love a certain type of handlebars, build a strategy around that. Just like you said, go and, buy them, start using them, tag photos, all that good stuff. But before you even get to the point where you say, "I love this brand," like, I want you to kind of diagnose why it is that you love that brand, because then you might find the right message to send to that brand. So let's say with these handlebars, kind of extending that example, if you look at the brand, you're like, "Gosh, I just love the colors. I love when I look at their social media posts, they're doing things that I enjoy doing, or they're showing things that I enjoy. Maybe they represent some of the same values that you represent." Like, it's hard to understand all of that. It's hard to understand the emotions behind why you're drawn towards a specific product or brand. But if you can break that down and put it into words, and then share that with the company. Wow, I love how you're a family focused brand that really emphasizes like the outdoor life. I don't know. That's what I'm all about. Look at all these pictures. I want to be a part of that same image. Okay, that's a whole nother deal. Like, that's an emotional conversation at that point, not just the business piece. It has to be business, but if you can pull in the emotional piece as well, honestly, that's where humans end up making decisions in the end anyways, is with emotions. So you take a good business case, link it up with a strong emotional backing, guaranteed you're going to be in a very good position. You're going to be a leg up around anybody else that's not doing that.
Absolutely. Again, there's company ethics. There's ethics that companies have, morals, things that they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, if you're, if you're, I'm trying to think here, if your market, your demographic that follows you, and you're all sex, drugs, and rock and roll all the
Right.
time, you're probably not going to be a good fit for the family business. Businesses that are targeting family audiences. Not saying there's not companies out there for you, but it's going to be different companies.
Right.
And that's
right.
just an example of how you have to target the right company for your image. And this is all being said knowing that you've already built something for yourself that you feel is a viable marketing tool. And what I mean by that is, just because you've got a race car that you race on the weekends doesn't mean that that's a viable marketing tool.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the total package. Is your program professional? Do fans come and see you at the races? Do you interact with people? Do you have an engaged social media following? I don't care if you have 300 followers or 3 million followers. Are they engaged?
Mm-hmm.
Are they commenting on pictures? Are they liking your stuff? Are they sharing your content? That is valuable. But if you've got a car that you race and you've got no social media following, you haven't posted in 6 months, that's not marketable.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have anything. You don't have anything that a company is going to be looking for that's going to add value to their marketing program.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, you know what? I am going to take this opportunity to do a little transition. I'm going to move into the main event. And the last time we did this, I had a whole different setup here. So we're going to ask these questions now in the main event, which I do kind of like the lightning round. So I got 3 questions. The intent is to go through them fairly quickly, to just say like boom and then why, boom and then why, boom and then why. All right, you ready for this? I know you're ready for this. You love this stuff. All right. If you could sponsor anyone in the world, who would you choose and why?
There's a few people that come to mind, but I have to just pick one.
Yes. I'm a very firm person.
If I had to pick one person to, if I had an unlimited marketing budget, high octane
Mm-hmm.
coffee is as big as Red Bull or Monster Energy. I've got a huge marketing budget, and I could sponsor anybody in the world to be a primary partner with their program. Hands down, no questions asked, John Force.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
The best there has ever been, in my opinion.
Oh, my gosh. That would be a good fit for your high energy. He's ready to roll, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He has more diehard fans than any YouTuber, any Instagram famous person, and he built it organically. He is so charismatic. He truly cares about his fans, and he is amazing at marketing his partners. He'll work his partners into interviews so well that it just flows so perfectly. It's not like he just goes down a list, at the end of his speech and says,
Right.
I'd like to thank this person. I'd like to thank that person. I'd like to thank this person. He works it into the conversation. So anybody if you're not great at doing interviews, first of all, you need to be. Secondly, watch every single John Force interview you possibly can. He is the perfect mix of being professional, but also being emotional and 100% real in all his interviews. The reason people like him is because he's real, because there's nothing about him that's fake. And I've met him several times. I've had dinner with him before. And he is a truly genuine, amazing person. And that's why he is who he is and how he has, I think, there's only 2 people, I think, in the world, in my opinion, that have the fans. Actually, no, I take it back. There's 3 people. And this goes for not just racing. This is any sport, period, as far as people that have fans that are unrelentingly just diehard, love them till the day they die. John Force, Dale Earnhardt, and Dennis Anderson of Grave Digger.
Yeah.
I say Dennis because I know Dennis very well. I've been able to see him work, up close and personal for many years. And, he has a fan base that is absolutely amazing. And again, it's because he's real and he truly appreciates his fans that are coming and spending their hard-earned dollar to watch him play with his monster truck. People are coming and spending their hard-earned dollar to watch John Force race his car down the track. And he truly appreciates that. And that is why those people have the fans that they have. And they did that before social media was even invented. They built that following before social media was even around. Now you've got these tools that they didn't even have to build your following, to engage with people. If a kid comments on your post, say something back. People comment on your stuff. They took time out of their day to comment on your picture that you posted. Say something back to them, or at least like their comment. That speaks volumes to people. That's what is going to help you create your fan following and is going to show that you truly care about them. I am extremely grateful for the fans that I've built, that I've earned, that they want to come see me do what I do. It'd be totally pointless to go out and jump monster trucks if nobody wanted to watch it.
Right.
It'd be pointless to go to the racetrack and race with all my buddies if nobody wanted to watch it. So I appreciate people spending the money that they work for to come watch me show off.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing that was similar between those three people that you mentioned, they all basically built their whole families around that brand too. Dale Earnhardt, John Force, and Dennis Anderson, like their whole family ended up getting into this thing. And their whole family has a good brand. Like they all have a good marketing scheme that they learned, from the originals. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, all right. Next question here. If you could only use one social media platform, which would you choose and why?
Instagram, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Instagram, for sure. I like Instagram because I feel like it cuts through the BS. You just have to follow people that you want to follow, that you want to really see their content. Whereas Facebook, your feed is so flooded with stuff that you really don't want to see, like what did Susie have for breakfast? Like, I don't care. Like I want to see what John Force did last night in the race.
Right.
And by the time you sift through all that garbage, you got to get on with your day. Your breakfast is done. You need to get out the door, go to work. Instagram, it's a lot more quicker and it's to the point. And people are very visual. People want to see pictures, and Instagram is completely based around pictures and videos.
Right.
And I really like the story feed that they've got going on now too. So what I try to do is I try to post significant things, like good quality images. And then my story feed is somewhat of the more insignificant stuff, like the little tedious things throughout my day and funny stuff and, making fun of my buddies and things like that, it's going to disappear in 24 hours anyway. So, but I just want to make sure that if I'm in somebody's feed coming up, my picture's popping up in their feed, it's going to be something of substance. It's going to be something that means something. And it's, it's not going to be like a picture of my hamburger I had for lunch. It's going to be, something that's going to have a positive impact.
Definitely.
And if I don't have anything good to post, I don't post nothing. That's one thing about my social media is if you see me not post for a couple of days, it's because I just truly feel like my life was just flat out boring the past couple of days. And I didn't have anything to show you guys, or I'm just so knee deep in what I'm doing. I just, I need a break from social media every now and then to kind of reset and just sometimes it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing sometimes because it gets to the point where you feel like you have to do it every day. And sometimes I think it becomes counterproductive on the projects that you're actually working on. Like for me, like with the new monster truck, it's between that and running my business, I've got so much stuff going on and trying to take care of myself health wise. And, sometimes it just slips through the cracks as far as trying to post something on social media, but I don't ever want it to become cumbersome, because when it becomes cumbersome is when, my content is not going to be very good anymore. I want everybody that's following me, to not feel like I'm posting because I feel like I have to.
Right. No, that's a good call. All right, last one in this round. Name one brand other than High Octane that you respect and why.
Red Bull. I have to say Red Bull. And I had the honor of speaking with Vipe, thanks to you linking us up. Right beside, which actually I'm drinking my second HDX hydration drink of the day here. So I go to bed. I do twice a day. I fully believe, and just to get this straight, Vipe doesn't sponsor me. HDX doesn't sponsor me.
Right.
I just love his stuff. I love his product, and I also love the fact that the man has taken time, both on the phone and in person, to sit down with me and talk to me about my brand and what I'm doing. He is such a wealth of knowledge of marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And just he's so intelligent and experienced at this stuff. I feel like I want to be a sponge when I'm around him. I want to take in everything he has to say, because everything that comes out of his mouth is important.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it is. And this HDX hydration stuff really is awesome. I drink first thing in the morning, and usually I'll drink it before bed. And if it's a day I work out or do a long ride, I make sure I have some too. It's really an incredible product. But anyway, that leads me to saying Red Bull, because I worked with Red Bull, and talking with him, I got to learn a little bit more about what Red Bull did when they were making their plunge into the United States market and everything. And if you think about it, some people might not remember, but I was in high school when Red Bull kind of jumped into the United States. And nobody really, not only really knew who they were, but nobody really knew what an energy drink was.
Oh, right.
At the time. And I had like a really small sponsorship from Red Bull when I was racing mountain bikes when I was in high school. And like the local Red Bull guy would come and drop off cases at my house like every week. Mm-hmm. So I'd bring it to school with me, and people are like, "What is that stuff? What are you drinking?" And I was drinking like 5 of them before I'd go to class in the morning and stuff. And I was all wired. And but that was before anybody really knew what an energy drink was. So you think about that. This is a company trying to, market a product that nobody even knows exists. It's not like, if you're to, start an energy drink now, everybody knows what an energy drink is. It's like it's the soda of the, new millennium. Mm-hmm. But, back then they were really pioneers, and they're huge. They're a huge global brand now. Got their own TV channel, their own production crews, and the things that they do and that they sponsor and the things they produce. To having a 2-car Formula One team, that's incredible. And they sell one product. Product they sell.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's absolutely mind-boggling to me how big they've gotten, and the staple that they've made, on the world with their brand. It's really incredible, and I try to learn as much as I possibly can about it, because I'm trying to do something similar with High Octane. I'm trying to grow my brand into a certain demographic, a very specific demographic of motorsports and automotive enthusiasts. But I'm not starting with a product that nobody knows what it is. Everybody knows what coffee is. Most people drink it. I'm just trying to put my own twist on it. Show people that there's more to coffee than, these little hipster uptight coffee joints that, guys like you and me don't even feel right walking into. That's what I'm trying to create with the brand, is a brand that people are comfortable with. They got a lifted diesel truck sitting in a parking lot. Mm-hmm. That's why we do our car shows and truck shows every single week at High Octane. Because I love the lifestyle. I love hot rodding. I love cars. That's what my life has revolved around since I was a kid. I never really was involved in stick and ball sports, except for I think when I was in grade school. But, from the time I was a teenager, my life has revolved around a steering wheel and for handlebars and wheels. So that's why it's so important for me to keep growing High Octane into the brand, into that lifestyle element, because that's what I understand. That's what I've, built my entire life around.
Oh, it's perfect. Good stuff, man. Well, the other thing about good stuff is all good things have to come to an end. So we're going to start wrapping things up here now. What's one thing that the listeners of the show need to take away?
The simplest one of all: don't slide into people's DMs asking them to sponsor them. Period. I mean, we added a lot to that, in this podcast.
Yeah, but it's as simple as that.
I guarantee you, if it annoys me, it definitely annoys other companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost to the point where it's insulting, because it's like, how dare you ask for my money to go fund your hobby when you have no ground to stand on as far as understanding my company
mm-hmm.
or what I'm trying to accomplish. You didn't even have, first of all, you didn't spell a bunch of words right. You used no punctuation. This isn't a text message to your girlfriend.
Right.
This is business, and you need to treat it as such. You need to respect my time, and I'll respect yours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, that little simple concept right there. I think if anybody takes away anything from this, you learn anything from it, come up with a different approach. Don't message people on social media asking them to quote unquote sponsor you, or my other favorite one, get their name on your car.
Oh, right,
okay?
Right. It's good stuff. Well, what's the best way for people listening to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm very social media active. Joe Sylvester 8 on Instagram. That's definitely the best way. Joe Sylvester 8 on Facebook too, but I'm definitely not as active over there as I am on Instagram. So High Octane, same thing. High Octane Coffee on Instagram and on Facebook. And websites, gethighoctanecoffee.com. We just started our monthly subscription program, which I'm really excited about. I found with coffee, people buy my coffee and they'll love it. They'll send me emails, they'll post on their social media, but then maybe we don't get an order from them for a while. And what I'm finding is it's such a convenience thing that, if they run out of coffee the next time they're at the grocery store and they walk by the coffee aisle, like, oh, I need coffee at home, let me just grab this, whatever's quick. They don't think to go back home or get on their phone or their computer and log back into High Octane and order another bag. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I make that easier for people? I'll start monthly subscriptions. You set your payment up, one time, and we automatically send you your coffee every single month. Add to that the lifestyle element. We're not just going to ship you your coffee every month. We're going to ship you some different swag items every month along with your coffee. So for $35 a month, you get your coffee and you get some other items that are worth like $45 to $50 total. And it's going to be different every month. So you're going to get your favorite coffee, and maybe like this month you get our French Press travel mug. Next month, maybe it's a shirt and some stickers. The next month after that, maybe it's a hat and a keychain. And then I want to start involving some of my marketing partners into it as well. Maybe we get you some detail products for your car that gets shipped to you this month along with your coffee. So there's a lot of things I'm adding into it to really kind of, like I said, embrace that lifestyle element. So you're going to get your coffee every month like clockwork automatically, and you're going to get another surprise from us that we'll basically like send an email out every month saying what the swag item is for the month. So I just launched it. I'm hoping it takes off, and I think it will.
Yeah, and if people stay tuned to this show, especially like on Instagram, I'll be giving you some insider peeks of this stuff too. So if you're not ready yet, I don't know, like just stay tuned, and you can take the safer route and observe some of that through us, or follow on High Octane. You'll obviously be able to get it if you're following High Octane. You'll be able to get those insider shots. But yeah, and this is not the last time you'll hear from Joe. He's going to be on the show quite a bit more now. I'm not going to give you. I still haven't revealed to everybody like exactly what it's going to be yet, so I'm going to keep it still a little close. But I've dropped hints, like I've just said, you'll be hearing a few more little things and like getting some stuff and some bonuses.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
I've had people contact me on social media before after doing podcasts with you, Dirt Collective, talking about sponsorships, talking about marketing tactics and my experiences, and people that say it really helped them. It opened their eyes as far as what they're doing and what they need to be doing. and they thank me and they ask me when I'm going to do it again. And it feels good. I'm glad that I can make an impact on people and help people. You know, I know I've got a pretty confident and brash way of saying things sometimes. That's just, you know, I'm Italian. That's really the only way we know how to do things. But you know, what I have to say is based off of my personal experiences over, you know, 2 decades of you know, working different sponsorships and learning what works and what doesn't work and evolving with the times. And you know, because I'm taking my time here, I want to make an impact on people. I want to help some people, you know, use their racing as a marketing tool like it should be, and fully understand how it is that they need to do that.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time. I know a lot of people have reached out to me as well and said that they appreciate your shows that you've done with us in the past. So here's another one. But yeah, I'm going to leave you though with this. Have fun and ride safe. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by AMSOIL. Please subscribe that we don't miss upcoming shows, upcoming guests. We got good stuff coming up. Follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And specifically on our Facebook page, that's where we do our live shows, so stay tuned there. To get some insider access to upcoming guests, you can also head over to Facebook and join the Sponsored Rider Club. It's a Facebook group. You can request to join, and I will most likely approve that request if I can tell you have some sort of motorsports affiliation. A special thanks goes out to our sponsors, AMSOIL, SolderWeld, Bold Racing, TopToPodium.com, Crash Addict Industries, and I also want to shout out our other partners, GSP XTV, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and High Octane Coffee. I look forward to serving you again next week. Until then, have fun and ride safe.